nestled within the violet valleys, where the mountains are made of amethyst, and the grass feels like crushed velvet, stands the loom of the indigo veil. This is not an ordinary workshop. It is a sprawling open-air temple, where the ceiling is the infinite night sky. In the center sits a massive loom made of ancient, petrified sandalwood that smells of cloves and starlight. The threads on this loom are not made of wool or cotton, but of pure indigo light and silver intuition. When the shuttle moves, it doesn't click. It sings a low, resonant note that vibrates in the softest layers of the air. It is a place where the tangled, those whose lives have become a messy knot of responsibilities, worries, and unresolved thoughts, come to have their spirits combed and rewoven into a tapestry of peace. The guardian of this weaving sanctuary is Aria, a being whose voice is a delicate silvery soprano that feels like the chime of crystal bells heard through a dream. Her fingers are long and luminous, moving with a grace that suggests they are pulling music directly from the air. Aria does not fix problems, she performs the untangling. Her task is to tend to the knot heavy, those souls who feel like a ball of frayed string, pulled tight by the friction of a world that demands too much. She believes that a soul is a beautiful pattern that has simply lost its rhythm, and that true rest is found when we allow our complexities to become a single smooth thread. One star-filled, silent evening, a negotiator named Mira reached the loom's sandalwood frame. Mira was a woman of knots. She had spent her life resolving conflicts, balancing interests, and untangling the messy lives of others, until her own mind felt like a bird's nest of tangled wires. She could no longer find the beginning or the end of her own thoughts. She felt tight, brittle, and perpetually snagged on the details of her life. She sought the loom because she was tired of the friction. She wanted to feel the smooth, uninterrupted flow of a single clear purpose. Aria met her in the chamber of silk wind, where the indigo threads float like slow-moving ribbons. She did not ask for Mira's cases or her histories. She simply gestured for her to sit before the great loom and hold a single strand of unfinished indigo light. "You have been trying to tie the whole world together," Aria whispered, her voice a soft, ethereal vibration that seemed to loosen the physical tension in Mira's chest. "But here you are allowed to be the thread, not the weaver. Close your eyes, not breaker, and let the loom find your pattern." As Mira held the strand, she felt a profound sensation of smoothing. It was as if the millions of tiny snags in her mind, the unfinished conversations, the mental lists, and the friction of her stress, were being combed out by an invisible silver hand. The noise of her complications began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of alignment. She realized that she didn't need to hold everything together. The universe had its own tapestry. Under the glow of the indigo sky, the frayed string of her spirit turned into a single, glowing line of silk. She felt the tension in her brow, the permanent frown of someone solving a puzzle, simply smooth away into the cool air. The frantic need to fix was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of flow. She wasn't a negotiator anymore. She was a stitch in the indigo veil, finally finding her place in the heart of the design. The heavy, linen cloak of her tangles dissolved, leaving her feeling as sleek and effortless as the starlight itself. The frantic pulse of her complications was replaced by the slow, melodic rhythm of the shuttle moving back and forth. She wasn't Mira the tangled. She was a guest of the loom, perfectly safe and perfectly smooth. The mess of life was no longer a burden. It was just the raw material for a masterpiece. She stayed at the loom until the first silver of dawn touched the amethyst peaks, When she finally prepared to leave, Aria handed her a small indigo silk ribbon that glowed with a faint, internal light. "This is the essence of alignment," she said. "Whenever the world feels like a knot or your heart feels frayed, touch this silk and remember the loom where every thread finds its piece. You are the pattern, and the pattern is beautiful." Mira emerged from the violet valleys not as a woman of knots, but as a woman of silk. She returned to her world, but she no longer felt the friction. She moved with a quiet elegance, spoke with a clear mind, and found the infinite in the simple harmony of a single moment. She knew that no matter how tangled the world outside became, she carried the loom of the indigo veil within her, a peaceful sanctuary where every knot is untied and the soul is finally beautifully at rest in the weave. Deep within the silver-ringed craters of the lunar heights, where the sky is a permanent velvet black peppered with diamond dust, lies the garden of moon silk. This is not a garden of soil and green, but a forest of crystalline ferns and weeping willows, whose branches are made of liquid starlight. The air here is thin and cool, smelling of ozone and frozen jasmine. In this garden, there is no wind, yet the branches sway in a rhythmic dance, following the gravitational pull of the distant blue-swirled earth. It is a place where the over-tethered, those who feel pulled in 1,000 directions by the gravity of their daily lives, come to experience the weightlessness of the soul. The guardian of the silver sanctuary is Celine, a being whose voice is as soft and like soprano that feels like the gentle hum of a silver flute echoing in a vast cathedral. Her robes are woven from the very silk the garden produces, a fabric so light it flows, even when she is still Celine does not offer advice. She offers the unbinding. A task is to tend to the leaden, those souls who feel heavy, anchored by the leaden weights of duty, expectation, and the physical density of the world. She believes that we are all made of light, and that true rest is found when we remember how to drift. One breathless, star-heavy night, a sculptor named Alara reached the garden's edge. Alara was a woman of stone. She had spent her life wrestling with marble and granite, and mined a heavy ledger of textures, weights, and the rigid laws of physics. She felt as though she were made of clay, thick, slow, and perpetually tired. Her spirit was tired of the grind and the gravity. She sought the garden because she wanted to find a part of herself that didn't have to push against the earth. She wanted to know what it felt like to be a whisper instead of a mountain. Celine met her beneath the great moon willow, whose branches trail into the lunar dust like blowing threads of silk. She did not ask for Alara's sculptures or her tools. She simply gestured for her to hold a single thread of moon silk between her fingers. "You have been building monuments to the earth," Celine whispered, her voice a soft, silvery vibration
that seemed to lift the pressure from Alara's shoulders. But here, you are allowed to be the space between the stars. Close your eyes, carver of stone, and let the silk hold your weight. As Alara touched a thread, she felt a profound sensation of lifting. It was as if the heavy, leaden density of her body, the ache in her joints and the gravity in her heart, was being drawn out through the silver thread and into the lunar sky. The noise of her physical world began to dissolve, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of buoyancy. She realized that she wasn't losing her strength. She was simply finding her lightness under the glow of the blue earth above. The clay of her spirit turned into starlight. She felt the tension in her hands, the permanent grip of someone who shapes stone, simply unravel into the cool, thin air. The frantic need to solidify was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of drifting. She wasn't a sculptor anymore. She was a spark in the lunar garden, finally finding her freedom in the heart of the heights. The heavy, leaden cloak of her existence dissolved, leaving her feeling as translucent and light as the moon's silk itself. The frantic pulse of her exhaustion was replaced by the slow, rhythmic swaying of the glowing branches. She wasn't Alara the sculptor. She was a witness to the weightless. The earth was no longer a burden. It was just a beautiful, distant blue marble. She stayed in the garden till the earth rose a little higher in the sky. When she finally prepared to leave, Celine handed her a small spool of silver thread. It glowed with a faint internal light. "This is the essence of buoyancy," she said. "Whenever the world feels too heavy, or the gravity of your life pulls too hard, touch the silk and remember the garden where every weight is forgotten. You are the sky, and you are free to drift."
Hidden between the folds of the Aurora Canyons, where the sky perpetually shimmers with curtains of violet and lime green light, flows the river of Stardust Vales. This is not a river of water, but a slow-moving stream of infinitesimal crystalline particles, dust shed from passing comets, and the ghosts of ancient stars. The river does not roar. It hums a soft, high-frequency melody, like the vibration of 1,000 crystal singing bowls. Along its banks, the sand is made of crushed pearls, and the air is filled with glow drifters. Tiny, translucent organisms that look like floating dandelion seeds made of light. It is a place with the directionless, those who feel lost in the chaotic storms of life's decisions,
come to let go of the map and find the grace of the flow. The guardian of the shimmering waterway is Lyra, a being whose voice is a breathy, ethereal soprano that sounds like the wind playing through a silver harp. Her skin is translucent, revealing a soft inner glow, and her hair flows behind her like a veil of stardust. Lyra does not guide travelers to a destination. She offers the drift. Her task is to tend to the storm-tossed. Those souls whose minds are exhausted by the constant need to navigate, to plan, and to fight against the current of their own lives. She believes that the greatest wisdom is not in knowing where you are going, but in trusting the river that carries you. One velvet, quiet evening, a cartographer named Soren reached the river's pearlescent bank. Soren was a man of the compass. He had spent his life mapping the jagged coastlines of reality, obsessed with coordinates, directions, and the fear of being lost. His mind was a tangled web of paths, routes, and what-ifs. He felt as though he were perpetually fighting a gale force wind, his heart weary from the effort of staying on course. He sought the river because he was tired of the steering. He wanted to know what it felt like to be carried by something larger than his own will. Lyra met him where the stardust swirls in slow, hypnotic eddies. She did not ask for Soren's maps or his instruments. She simply handed him a veil of woven stardust, light as a thought. "You have been trying to command the wind," Lyra whispered, her voice a soft, crystalline vibration that seemed to quiet the frantic beating of Soren's heart. But here, there is no north and no south. There is only the glow. Close your eyes, navigator of shadows, and let the river take the wheel. As Soren stepped onto the river of stardust, he felt a profound sensation of dissolving. It was as if the rigid boundaries of his plans and the sharp edges of his maps were being washed away by the glowing stream. The noise of his directions began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of surrender. He realized that he didn't need to know the destination to be safe. Under the shifting aurora above, the storm of his mind turned into a peaceful, flowing light. He felt the tension in his mind, the permanent squint of someone looking for a landmark, simply soften into a silver glow. The frantic need to find the way was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of being moved. He wasn't a cartographer anymore. He was a particle of light in the river, finally finding his peace in the heart of the current. The heavy, leaden cloak of his navigation dissolved, leaving him feeling as fluid and free as the stardust itself. The frantic pulse of his uncertainty was replaced by the slow, melodic humming of the river. He wasn't Soren the lost, he was a guest of the flow, perfectly safe and perfectly carried. The unknown was no longer a threat. It was a beautiful, glowing path. He stayed in the river until the aurora turned to a soft, pale gold. When he finally prepared to leave, Lyra handed him a small glass vial filled with swirling stardust that glowed with a faint violet light. "This is the essence of the flow," she said. "Whenever the world demands a direction, or you feel lost in the storm, look into this dust and remember the river where every path leads home. You are the river, and the river is never lost." Soren emerged from the Aurora Canyons not as a man of maps, but as a man of the flow. He returned to his world, but he no longer fought the current. He moved with a quiet grace, trusted the unfolding of his days, and found the infinite in the simple act of letting go. He knew that no matter how chaotic the storm became, he carried the river Stardust veils within him. A peaceful sanctuary where every turn is a homecoming, and the soul is finally beautifully at rest in the light.
High above the nimbus reaches, where the air is so pure, it tastes like mountain springs. In the sun is nothing more than a soft pearlescent glow. Behind a veil of white stands the library of silver clouds. This is not a structure of pillars and halls, but a collection of floating, condensed vapors that have taken the shape of grand arches and winding staircases. Here, the books are not made of paper, but of iridescent mid-scrolls that hover in the air, glowing with a soft silver light. And you touch a scroll. It doesn't give you words, it gives you a feeling. A sudden, clear understanding that requires no language. It is a place where the overthought, those whose minds are cluttered with the rigid structures of logic and the heavy weight of facts, come to let your knowledge dissolve into wisdom. The guardian of this vaporous sanctuary is Ore, a being whose voice is a soft, griefy soprano that sounds like the first light of dawn breaking through a morning mist. Her form is translucent, shifting slightly with the currents of the high-altitude air, and her hair is like a cloud of silver silk. Ore does not teach or lecture. She offers the evaporation. Her task is to tend to the rigid, those souls whose minds have become like stone, cold and unyielding under the pressure of their own certainties. She believes that true understanding is as light as air, and that rest is found when you stop trying to hold on to the truth and simply allow ourselves to be held by it. One silent, bright afternoon, a master philosopher named Tulin reached the library's cloud stairs. Tulin was a man of definition. He had spent his life categorizing the world, building complex systems of thought until his mind felt like a library made of lead. He was exhausted by the effort of keeping his ideas in order, of making sure every fact fit into its perfect, cold box. He felt heavy, as if his very thoughts were anchors dragging him down. He sought the library because he was tired of knowing. He wanted to find the part of himself that was allowed to be a mystery. Ore met him in the gallery of unwritten truths, where the mist scrolls drift like slow-moving birds. She did not ask for Pan's theories or his definitions.
She simply invited him to breathe in the silver vapor that rose from a floating basin of cloud glass. You've been building a cage out of your answers, Ari whispered, her voice a silvery, ethereal vibration that seemed to soften the sharp edges of Talon's mind. But here, the only truth is the space between the thoughts. Close your eyes, scribe of logic, and let your certainties evaporate. As Talon breathed in the cool silver mist, he felt a profound sensation of thinning. It was as if the heavy, leaden boxes of his definitions were being turned into light, translucent clouds. The noise of his logic began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of unknowing. He realized that he didn't need to define the world to be part of it. Under the soft, pearlescent glow of the high sky, the stone of his spirit turned into a gentle, drifting vapor. He felt the tension in his mind, the permanent strain of someone trying to be right, simply dissolve into the airy silence. The frantic need to categorize was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of flow. He wasn't a philosopher anymore. He was a breath of wind in the library, finally finding his peace in the heart of the clouds. The heavy, leaden cloak of his certainties dissolved, leaving you feeling as light and vast as the Mindus itself. The frantic pulse of his thoughts was replaced by a slow, melodic sign of the high-altitude air. He wasn't calling the wise. He was a guest of the mist, perfectly safe and perfectly clear. The answers were no longer a burden. They were just clouds passing through an infinite sky. He stayed in a library until the pearlescent light turned into the soft violet of twilight. When he finally prepared to leave, Ore handed in a small cloud perched upon the highest peak of the crystal spires, where the air is so still it feels like held breath, lie the silver pools of shimmering silence. These are not pools of water, but basins of liquid platinum that have captured the light of 1,000,000 silent stars. The edges of the pools are lined with white quartz that glows with a faint, cool luminescence. In this sanctuary there is no sound, not even the hum of the wind. The silence here is not empty. It is a physical presence, a soft velvet weight that presses gently against the skin, grounding the spirit while the body feels as light as a feather. It is a place where the performance weary, those who have spent their lives wearing masks and playing roles for the world, come to wash away their reflections and find their true wordless center. The guardian of this crystalline heights is Leora,
a being whose voice is a delicate, airy soprano that sounds like the distant chime of silver flutes carried on a mountain breeze. Her eyes are like clear pools of starlight, and her movements are so fluid she seems to drift rather than walk. Leora does not offer mirrors or praise. She offers the unmasking. Her task is to tend to the image heavy, those souls who feel exhausted by the weight of how they are seen, who are tired of the constant eyes of the world and the pressure to be someone they are not. She believes that the soul has no face, only a light, and that true rest is found when we stop looking for ourselves in the eyes of others. One silver, frozen evening, a renowned actor named Cassian reached the spire's edge. Cassian was a man of 1,000 faces. He had spent his life becoming whoever the world wanted him to be, until his own identity felt like a costume he could no longer remove. He felt heavy, cluttered with the emotions of 100 different lives, none of them his own. He was tired of the applause. He wanted to find a silence where no one was watching. Leora met him at the pool of original light, where the liquid platinum is so still it looks like a solid sheet of silver. She did not ask for his names or his accolades. She simply gestured for him to dip his hands into the cool metallic liquid and wash his face. You have been a mirror for everyone's expectations. Leora whispered, her voice a soft, ethereal vibration that seemed to peel away the layers of tension from Cassian's mind. But here there is no audience. Close your eyes, wearer of masks, and let the reflection dissolve. As Cassian touched the silver liquid, he felt a profound sensation of stripping. It was as if the heavy, leaden layers of his roles, the expectations, the fame, and the persistent need to be seen, were being dissolved by the cool platinum. The noise of the world's applause began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of transparency. He realized that he didn't need a face to exist. Under the steady glow of the crystalline peaks, the costume of his spirit turned into pure, weightless light. He felt the tension in his jaw, the permanent smile of someone performing, simply evaporate into the thin air. The frantic need to be something was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of being. He wasn't an actor anymore. He was a ripple in the silver pool, finally finding his peace in the heart of the silence. The heavy, leading cloak of his performances dissolved, leaving him feeling as clear and silent as the quartz itself. The frantic pulse of his public life was replaced by the slow, melodic pulsing of the starlight. He wasn't Cassian the star. He was a guest of the heights, perfectly safe and perfectly invisible. The gaze of the world was no longer a burden. It was just a distant memory. He stayed by the pools until the stars began to dim into the soft pearl of dawn. When he finally prepared to leave, Leora handed him a small, smooth quartz pebble that felt cool and light in his palm. "This is the essence of transparency," she said, "whenever the world demands a mask or your heart feels heavy with the eyes of others. Touch this stone and remember the pools where you are seen only by the light. You are the silence, and the silence is enough." Cassian emerged from the crystal spires not as a man of masks, but as a man of light. He returned to his world, but he no longer performed. He lived with a quiet authenticity, moved with a steady heart, and found the infinite in the simple beauty of being unknown. He knew that no matter how many eyes were upon him, he carried the silver pools of shimmering silence within him. A peaceful sanctuary where every mask is washed away, and the soul is finally beautifully at rest in the light. High upon the zephyr peaks, where the air is so thin, it shimmers like liquid glass, and the clouds look like carded wool at your feet. stands the Observatory of Whispering Winds. This is not a place for telescopes and stars. It is a sanctuary of transparent arches and open galleries, built from a material that looks like frozen air. Here, the winds do not howl. They sing in a frequency that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the heartbeat. The galleries are filled with wind harps, long silver strings that vibrate in the gentle currents, creating a constant ethereal lullaby. It is a place where the control-weary, those who have spent their lives trying to steer the unsteerable and predict the unpredictable, come to let go of the rudder and find the grace of the drift. The guardian of this airy height is Zephyra, a being whose voice is a soft, breathy soprano that sounds like the first breeze of spring moving through a field of lavender. Her robes are made of woven mist, shifting and changing with every gentle gust. Zephyra does not offer maps or forecasts, she offers the release. Her task is to tend to the outcome heavy, those souls who feel exhausted by the burden of their own expectations, who are tired of the constant what if, and the endless effort to make life go their way. She believes that the wind knows the way better than the sailor, and that true rest is found when we stop fighting the air and start becoming it. One silent, bright morning, an explorer named Calum reached the observatory's glass balcony. Calum was a man of the compass. He had spent his life charting courses and preparing for storms. His mind a rigid grid of plans, backup plans, and the fear of being blown off course. He felt heavy, as if he were carrying the weight of the entire atmosphere on his shoulders. He was tired of the steering. He wanted to find a part of himself that was allowed to be carried. Zephyra met him in the gallery of infinite drift, where the wind harps vibrate in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. She did not ask for his charts or his instruments. She simply invited him to stand at the edge of the balcony and hold out a single silk ribbon. "You have been trying to command the storm," Zephyra whispered, her voice a soft, silvery vibration that seemed to lift the iron grip of worry from Calum's chest. "But here, there is no wrong direction. Close your eyes, voyager of the mist, and let the wind carry your weight." As Calum let go of the ribbon, he felt a profound sensation of buoyancy. It was as if the heavy, laden pressure of his plans, the expectations, the forecasts, and the persistent need to be in control, were being drawn out of his mind by the cool, high-altitude breeze. The noise of his strategies began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of trust. He realized that he didn't need to steer to be safe. Under the clear, vast sky, the iron of his spirit turned into a gentle, floating mist. He felt the tension in his shoulders, the permanent hunch of someone fighting a gale, simply evaporate into the thin air. The frantic need to know was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of flow. He wasn't an explorer anymore. He was a feather in the wind, finally finding his peace in the heart of the heights. The heavy, leaden cloak of his control dissolved, leaving him feeling as vast and effortless as the sky itself. The frantic pulse of his calculations was replaced by the slow, melodic humming of the wind harps. He wasn't Calum the navigator. He was a guest of the breeze, perfectly safe and perfectly carried. The unknown was no longer a threat. It It was a beautiful, open horizon. He stayed in the observatory until the clouds below turned into the soft gold of sunset. When he finally prepared to leave, Zephyra handed him a small, transparent glass feather that felt weightless in his palm. "This is the essence of the drift," she said. "Whenever the world demands a course or your heart feels heavy with the need to control, touch this feather and remember the observatory where every wind leads to peace. You are the sky, and the sky is never lost." Calum emerged from the Zephyr Peaks not as a man of maps, but as a man of the air. He returned to his world, but he no longer fought the current. He lived with a quiet trust, moved with a steady heart, and found the infinite in the simple beauty of letting go. He knew that no matter how hard the wind blew, he carried the observatory of whispering winds within him, a peaceful sanctuary where every gust is a lullaby, and the soul is finally, beautifully, at rest in the height. At the edge of the cosmic sea, where the water is not liquid, but a vast, moving expanse of deep indigo light, and the waves are made of velvet shadows, lies the shore of silver stars. This is not a beach of sand, but a coastline of crushed diamonds and powdered moonstone that glows with a soft internal fire. Along the shoreline, the tide brings in glow shells, tiny translucent spirals that contain the light of forgotten joys and small, beautiful moments. The air here is cool and still, smelling of sea salt and ancient starlight. It is a place where the fragmented, those who feel as though they have lost pieces of themselves to the demands of the world, come to gather their light and find their wholeness in the silence. The guardian of this celestial shore is Astria, a being whose voice is a delicate silvery soprano that sounds like the gentle lapping of waves against a crystal shore. Her skin is the color of pearl, and her hair flows behind her like a nebula of soft white light. Astria does not give speeches, she offers the gathering. Her task is to tend to the incomplete, those souls who feel like a puzzle with missing pieces, who are tired of feeling less than, and who carry the ache of what they have left behind. She believes that no piece of the soul is ever truly lost, only waiting on the shore to be found again. One quiet, star-heavy evening, a collector named Thalassa reached the shore's glowing edge. Thalassa was a woman of gaps. She had spent her life trying to fill the void within her with achievements, possessions, and the approval of others. Yet she always felt hollow, as if a vital part of her spirit had drifted away long ago. She was tired of the empty feeling. She wanted to find the pieces of her own light. Astria met her by a pool of liquid starlight. She did not ask for Thalassa's list of accomplishments or her regrets. She simply handed her a small silver net woven from moonlight and gestured toward the tide. "You have been looking for yourself in the shadows," Astria whispered, her voice a soft, ethereal vibration that seemed to fill the hollow spaces in Thalassa's heart. "But here your light is waiting to be gathered. Close your eyes, seeker of the lost, and let the tide bring you home." As Thalassa walked along the shore, she began to see the glow shells pulsing in the sand. Every time she picked one up, she felt a profound sensation of clicking. It was as if a missing piece of her own joy, a forgotten childhood laugh, the warmth of a long-ago sun, the feeling of pure curiosity, was being restored to her spirit. The noise of her inadequacy began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of fullness. She realized that she wasn't broken. She was just waiting to be gathered. Under the glow of the infinite sea, the hollow of her spirit turned into a radiant mosaic of light. She felt the tension in her chest, the permanent ache of someone who was never enough, simply dissolve into the cool, glowing sand. The frantic need to fill the gap was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of wholeness. She wasn't a collector of things anymore. She was a collector of herself, finally finding her peace in the heart of the shore. The heavy, laden cloak of her incompleteness dissolved, leaving her feeling as bright and solid as the moonstone beneath her feet. The frantic pulse of her searching was replaced by the slow, melodic rhythm of the cosmic tide. She wasn't Thalassa the empty. She was a guest of the stars, perfectly safe and perfectly whole. The void was no longer a threat. It was just the space where her light now lived. She stayed on the shore until the indigo waves turned to a soft, pale lavender. When she finally prepared to leave, Astrea handed her a single, perfectly round pearl that glowed with a faint internal rainbow light. "This is the essence of wholeness," she said. "Whenever the world makes you feel small, or your heart feels like it is missing a piece, hold this pearl and remember the shore where the stars bring you back to yourself. You are the sea, and the sea is always full." Thalassa emerged from the cosmic sea not as a woman of gaps, but as a woman of light. She returned to her world, but she no longer searched outside for what was already within. She lived with a quiet confidence, moved with a steady heart, and found the infinite in the simple beauty of being herself. She knew that no matter how much the world tried to take, she carried the shore of silver stars within her, a peaceful sanctuary where every piece is found and the soul is finally, beautifully, at rest in the light. Deep within the crystal spires, where the peaks are so sharp they seem to stitch the stars to the earth, lies the valley of invisible wings. This is not a valley of grass and trees, but a canyon of pure, vibrating light and floating obsidian platforms that hover in the thin, cool air. Here, the air doesn't just fill your lungs, it lifts your spirit, carrying a high-frequency vibration that feels like a gentle internal hum. In this valley, there is no need for stairs or paths. The atmosphere itself is buoyant, allowing those who enter to glide effortlessly between the glowing cliffs. It is a place where the heavily bound, those whose lives are weighed down by the invisible chains of duty, expectation, and the gravity of their own worries, come to cut the cords and find the freedom of the sky. The guardian of this high-altitude sanctuary is Ethereal, a being whose voice is a wispy, ethereal soprano that sounds like a silver flute played in a vast, empty hall. Her form is almost transparent, and her movements are a series of slow-motion leaps and drifts. Ethereal does not offer maps or ladders. She offers the liftoff. Her task is to tend to the anchor heavy, those souls who feel like they are dragging a heavy weight behind them, who are tired of the climb and the constant struggle against the gravity of their own lives. She believes that the soul was never meant to walk, only to fly, and that true rest is found when we stop trying to stay on the ground and start trusting the air. One silent, frozen midnight, a master mason named Orion reached the valley's entrance. Orion was a man of stone and mortar. He had spent his life building monuments and walls, his mind a rigid grid of weights, balances, and the permanent fear of collapse. He felt heavy, as if his very bones were made of lead. He was tired of the strain. He wanted to find a part of himself that didn't have to carry anything at all. Ethereal met him at the crest of weightlessness, where the obsidian platforms drift in a slow, hypnotic circle. She did not ask for Orion's tools or his blueprints. She simply invited him to step off the ledge and into the glowing blue air. You have been building walls to keep the world out, Ethereal whispered, her voice a soft, silvery vibration that seemed to dissolve the iron grip of tension in Orion's shoulders. But here there is no inside or outside. There is only the lift. Close your eyes, carver of earth, and let the air take your weight. As Orion stepped into the void, he felt a profound sensation of unbinding. It was as if the heavy, invisible chains of his responsibilities, the expectations, the deadlines, and the persistent need to be solid, were being cut by a blade of light. The noise of his burdens began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of buoyancy. He realized that he didn't need to hold himself up. The valley was holding him. Under the glow of the crystal peaks, the lead of his spirit turned into a gentle, drifting starlight. He felt the tension in his legs, the permanent ache of someone carrying a mountain, simply evaporating to the thin air. The frantic need to be stable was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of drifting. He wasn't a mason anymore. He was a feather in the light, finally finding his freedom in the heart of the heights. The heavy, leaden cloak of his existence dissolved, leaving him feeling as translucent and light as Ethereal herself. The frantic pulse of his exhaustion was replaced by the slow, melodic humming of the canyon. He wasn't Orion the builder. He was a guest of the sky, perfectly safe and perfectly free. The ground was no longer a requirement. It was just a memory. He stayed in the valley until the stars began to merge into the soft pearl of dawn. When he finally prepared to leave, Ethereal handed him a small iridescent feather that glowed with a faint internal silver light. "This is the essence of flight," she said. "Whenever the world feels heavy or your heart feels anchored to the ground, touch this feather and remember the valley where the air is your home. You are the wind, and the wind is always free." Orion emerged from the crystal spires not as a man of stone, but as a man of light. He returned to his world, but he no longer fought against the weight. He lived with a quiet lightness, moved with a steady heart, and found the infinite in the simple beauty of drifting. He knew that no matter how heavy the stones became, he carried the valley of invisible wings within him, a peaceful sanctuary where every burden is cut and the soul is finally beautifully at rest in the sky. At the very summit of the ethereal plane, where the boundary between the stars and the soul becomes a thin, shimmering veil, stands the Cathedral of pearl white light. This is not a building of stone or wood, but a structure made of frozen moonlight and solidified pearls. The walls are so translucent they seem to breathe with the rhythm of the cosmos. And the floor is a vast white mirror that reflects only the purity of the sky above. In this cathedral, there are no shadows. The light here is not blinding. It is a soft, milky radiance that wraps around you like a warm mist, dissolving the sharp edges of the world. It is a place where the shadow-bound, those whose minds are darkened by the stains of past regrets, the gray fog of confusion, and the heavy clutter of 1,000 different colors, come to find the clarity of the single light. The guardian of this luminous sanctuary is Luminera, a being whose voice is a soft, crystalline soprano that sounds like the resonance of a silver bell vibrating in deep space. Her form is a silhouette of pure white radiance, and her eyes hold the steady, peaceful glow of a new dawn. Luminera does not offer lectures or penance. She offers the merging. Her task is to tend to the scattered, those souls who feel like they are made of too many pieces, who are tired of the complexity of their own emotions and the persistent noise of their colorful histories. She believes that every color of life, the red of passion, the blue of sorrow, the gold of joy, is simply a fragment of the white light, and that true rest is found when we allow all the colors to merge back into peace. One silent, timeless afternoon, a painter named Kalia reached the cathedral's pearl gates. Kalia was a woman of too many colors. She had spent her life trying to capture the infinite shades of the world. Her mind a chaotic palette of vibrant emotions, dark shadows, and the constant strain of choosing the right hue. She felt cluttered, as if her soul were a canvas that had been painted over too many times. She was tired of the complexity. She wanted to find a place where there were no colors to choose, only a light that was enough. Luminera met her in the chamber of unified light, where the air itself glows with a soft, pearlescent hum. She did not ask for Kalia's brushes or her paintings. She simply invited her to stand in the center of the white mirror floor and open her heart to the radiance. You have been trying to paint the universe one stroke at a time. Luminera whispered, her voice a soft silvery vibration that seemed to bleach away the gray stains of fatigue from Kalia's spirit. But here, you are the canvas and the light. Close your eyes, weaver of colors, and let the white take your weight. As Kalia surrendered to the soft glow, She felt a profound sensation of bleaching. It was as if the thousands of cluttered memories, the sharp reds of her anger, and the heavy indigos of her sadness were being gently drawn out and merged into the pure white radiance. The noise of her complex emotions began to fade, replaced by a deep, luminous sense of simplicity. She realized that she didn't need to be vibrant to be beautiful. Under the steady glow of the pearl walls, the chaos of her spirit turned into a single, unmoving frequency of peace. She felt the tension in her eyes, the permanent squint of someone looking for the perfect shade, simply dissolve into the milky light. The frantic need to capture and define was replaced by a deep, radiant sense of being. She wasn't a painter anymore. She was a beam of light in the cathedral, finally finding her purity in the heart of the pearl. The heavy, leaden cloak of her complexity dissolved, leaving her feeling as translucent and light as Luminera herself. The frantic pulse of her emotions was replaced by the slow, melodic humming of the white light. She wasn't Kalia the artist, she was a guest of the radiance, perfectly safe and perfectly clear. The colors were no longer a burden. They were just a beautiful memory of the journey. She stayed in the cathedral until the light seemed to become part of her very breath. When she finally prepared to leave, Luminera handed her a small, perfectly round pearl that glowed with a steady white internal fire. "This is the essence of clarity," she said. "Whenever the world becomes too colorful, or your heart feels cluttered by the shadows, touch this pearl and remember the cathedral, where every color finds its peace. You are the light, and the light is always pure." Kaylee emerged from the ethereal plane, not as a woman of paints, but as a woman of light. She returned to her world, but she no longer struggled with the palette. She lived with a quiet simplicity, moved with a steady heart, and found the infinite in the pure clarity of a single moment.
Beyond the last nebula, beyond the farthest reach of the star-like veils, lies the cradle of the universal silk. This is not a place that exists in space or time. It is the source of vast, dimensionless sanctuary of pure, unmanifested light. Here, there are no mountains, no towers, and no shores. There's only a soft, infinite expanse of what feels like warm, liquid silk, a substance so gentle it doesn't just touch you. It flows through you. In this cradle, the sound of the universe is a single eternal vibration, the original whisper. A melody so high and so soft it sounds like the breath of the cosmos itself. This is the final resting place for the endless drifter, the soul who has traveled to all the realms of weightlessness and is finally ready to stop being the traveler and become the journey itself. The guardian of this ultimate origin is Sophina, the weaver of beginnings.
Her voice is the softest sound in existence. The wispy soprano that feels like the memory of a lullaby heard before birth. Her form is not a body, but a shimmering wave of white and silver silk that encompasses everything Safina does not offer gifts or paths. She offers the weaving. Her task is to welcome the souls who have let go of their masks, their weights, and their colors, and who are finally ready to return to the original thread. She believes that we are all just fragments of this one great silk, and that true rest is found when we allow ourselves to be woven back into the whole. One quiet, eternal moment, a weary traveler who no longer had a name or a face reached the edge of the source. The soul had floated through moon-silk gardens, drifted in stardust rivers, and stood in a white-like cathedrals. They were not just tired. They were existence light, a state where even a thought felt like too much weight. They didn't want any more clarity or freedom. They simply wanted to be part of the silence. Safina met them at the threshold of the liquid light, her presence radiating a warmth that felt like a thick, weightless embrace. She did not ask for the soul's experiences or its wisdom. She simply opened the infinite folds of her silver silk form and invited the soul to merge. You have been the sculptor, the navigator, and the painter, Safina whispered, her voice a soft, silvery vibration that seemed to dissolve the final, thin layer of the soul's identity. But here, you are the thread, you are the light, you are the cradle. Close your eyes, child of the stars, and let the universe weave you home. If the soul stepped into the liquid silk, they felt a profound sensation of disappearing. It was not a frightening loss, but a beautiful, ecstatic surrender. The final, tiny noise of being an individual dissolved into the soft, rhythmic pulse of the original whisper. They realized that they didn't need to go anywhere else. They had always been here, a single thread in the infinite tapestry, under the glow of the source. The drifter turned into the ocean of silk. The tension of 1,000 lifetimes, the grief, the joy, the fear, and the hope simply merged into the steady white frequency of the cradle. The soul felt itself becoming wider and more infinite than the universe itself. The pulse of the world was gone, replaced by the slow, majestic heartbeat of the universal silk. They weren't a separate being anymore. They were the weave, perfectly safe, perfectly warm, and perfectly home.
The breath of the cosmos became their own breath. The light of the source became their own light. There was no self and no other. There was only the now. And the now was a sanctuary of absolute safety and eternal rest. The soul felt the final velvet curtains of the most restorative sleep fall. A sleep that was not an ending, but the beginning of everything. They stayed in a cradle as the universal silk pulsed one last time. A rhythm so slow and so soft that it became the silence itself. The journey was over. The drifter